Hello everyone, my name is Mini Sethi. Today we are going to learn about mercantilism theory of international trade. This theory was originated in 16th century. According to this theory, wealth of any nation is determined by amount of gold and silver which they have. According to this theory, wealth of any nation is determined by amount of gold and silver which they have. Means nation with more gold and silver is called richer nation. On the other hand, nation with least gold and silver is called poorest nation. That's why primary goal of mercantilism to increase the wealth of nation by acquiring more gold and silver. Okay, please listen carefully. Primary goal of this theory to increase the wealth of nation by acquiring more gold and silver. But question is that how can we acquire more gold and silver? Okay. According to this theory, we can acquire more gold and silver by doing more export, because during that time period when this theory was originated in 16th century, during that time period, if any country was doing export, means if any country was selling their goods in other country, in return that country was receiving some amount of gold and silver. Means by doing export, a country is increasing amount of gold and silver. Okay. On the other hand, during that time period, if any country was doing import, means if any country was buying goods from other country, in return that country have to give some amount of gold and silver. Means by doing import, country is losing amount of gold and silver. Okay, by doing export, country is gaining amount of gold and silver. On the other hand, by doing import, a country is losing amount of gold and silver. That's why primary goal of mercantilism to maximize export and minimize import. Okay, primary goal of mercantilism to maximize export and minimize import. Okay, second most important thing, this theory is based on zero sum game. What does mean by zero sum game? Zero sum game means one country get benefit at the expense of other. Zero sum games means one country get benefit at the expense of other. For example, there are two countries involved in international trade. Suppose there are two countries involved in international trade, country A and country B. Okay, country A is doing export in country B. Country A is doing export in country B. As a result, country A is receiving some amount of gold and silver from country B. Okay. Obviously, country A is gaining something, country A is getting something, country A balance of trade is going in surplus. But on the other hand, country B is buying the product of A, country B is doing import, country B have to give some amount of gold and silver, country B is losing something, country B trade is going in deficit. Okay, country A trade is going in surplus. On the other hand, country B trade is going in deficit. Okay, means country A is gaining, country A is getting benefit at the expense of country B. Okay, when any country get benefit at the expense of other country, it's called zero sum game. Okay, now as I earlier discussed, main objective or main aim of this theory to maximize export and minimize import. Okay, and according to this theory, according to this theory, government can play active role. Government can play active role for encouraging export and discouraging import. Government can play active active role for encouraging export and discouraging import. But how government can encourage export and discourage import? Okay, government can encourage export by giving export subsidies to those industry or those companies which are doing export. Okay, government can encourage export by giving export subsidies to those industries, to those companies which are doing export. For example, this company X is doing export. In order to encourage export, government will give some export subsidy to these company, okay, in form of some tax concession, or government can give low cost loan to this country, so that to this company, so that this company increase the amount of export. Government do this in order to encourage the export. On the other hand, government can discourage import. But how can government discourage import? Government can discourage import by imposing higher tax on import goods. Okay, government can discourage import by imposing higher tax on import. For example, you want to buy mobile for other country. You want to buy mobile from other country, and price of mobile is 8,000. Okay. And in order to discourage import, government will impose higher tax on it. For example, government impose 50% tax on it. Now you have to pay 8,000 is actually price, and 4,000 that is imposed by government. That is tax imposed by government. Okay, 8,000 is actual price, and 4,000 50% tax imposed by a government. Means total amount you need to pay is 12,000. Now this product become very expensive for you. Now this product become very expensive for you. That's why you will not do import. Okay, this is government strategy to discourage import. Okay, government can encourage export by giving export subsidy, and government can discourage import by imposing higher tax on import. Okay, now so this theory also suggests we always try for surplus balance of payment. We always tried for surplus balance of payment, surplus balance of trade. Okay, what does mean by surplus balance of trade? Surplus balance of trade means when our export is more than import. We always tried for more export and fewer import. Okay, this theory have one drawback. Okay, this theory have one main drawback. Drawback is, as I earlier discussed, this theory is based on zero-sum game. Zero-sum game means one country get benefit at the expense of other. Okay, but many economists criticize it. According to them, trade should be based on positive sum game. According to some economists who criticize this theory, trade should be based on positive sum game. Positive sum game means no one should win at the expense of other. No one should win at the expense of other. This is all about mercantilism, theory of international trade. I think you got it, and thank you so much for watching this video. Bye, take care.